Hello, everybody. Snitch Racer here for episode 6 of Snitch Racer's Dungeon. The first one I want to get out of the way is my complaints with Sobeys and how they treat people who they think are, not rich looking, and how their loss prevention pretty much follows me every time I'm there. Then we'll go into my experience with my father and my friend at Mosport, the track north of Bowmanville, Ontario. I'm just going to talk about my weird, fun, but also not fun experience at Mosport and the details with that. I'll get into that as well. And the third subject I want to leave off with is the Fanatics jerseys being added to the NHL. It's been a couple weeks since they have been added. Right now, it is October 10th October 24th when I'm recording this. I just want to discuss how I'm actually kind of impressed with what they've done so far. All right, so my experience with shopping at Sobeys as someone who isn't like a rich looking or suburban necessarily looking person with very nice clothes. I mean, look at my jersey, it's falling apart. Like, this is how I go and look like when I shop at Sobeys, and apparently that makes it so that I get profiled essentially for my my not being as rich as some of the suburban people. For context, I actually live in a cooperative housing project, which is completely surrounded by quite a wealthy suburban neighborhood. $1 million plus homes all around me, and then I live in like essentially what is a mini ghetto. It's not actually that ghetto, I'm just being dramatic, but to the people from the outside looking in, it might as well be a mini ghetto. Now the problem with that is the grocery stores and the shops around that in this area, 95% of the people shopping there are like upper middle class type people with, $1 million plus homes that have doctor and teaching jobs. Teaching jobs actually pay you a lot in Canada, by the way. Not a huge amount, but they actually have a living wage in Canada. So there's a lot of wealthy teachers in the area, especially like professors, stuff like that. Those are the kinds of people they usually get shopping at their place. So, at their store. So Sobeys clearly has hired a loss prevention team because they've had problems with theft. I'm not sure how bad it is. These companies tend to exaggerate that, in my opinion. But anyway, they've had problems with theft because they're a store, obviously, and things aren't as good as they used to be 5 years ago. So theft in general is up in my city. So they hired a loss prevention team. Now, the issue with this is every single time. Well, my issue with that is they seem to profile people based on the way they look, which A, is not very good for loss prevention. When I worked at retail, you're not actually supposed to profile people based on how poor their clothes look. People with expensive clothes and fancy jewelry come in and steal things all the time, obviously, because they blend in better, right? So not only is, profiling someone because they look poor just bad loss prevention, but it's also just straight up discrimination to me. Because what they actually do is usually a loss prevention person sits right at the front entrance of the store. So as soon as you walk in, there's a guy like pretending to like put stuff away, like, or grab groceries, but also just staring at you like ridiculously. And so then once I walk in the store, let's say I go back to the bread area. I look back. Buddy's right behind me. Just actually, what usually happens is I say I look back, and then he'll be looking at me and just go like, I wasn't looking at you, even though I was clearly looking at you. I wasn't. It's just so obvious, and it's so frustrating because I've been shopping at the Sobeys on and off for essentially my entire life. It's the same grocery store I grew up with. So like me and my mother have probably spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars at this store, and neither of us would even remotely consider stealing, yet we're treated like people who are, basically dirt, to me, in my opinion. Now, this has gotten so bad that my mom actually won't even go to the store anymore. For context, I do live with my mother. Yes, this guy recording a podcast in his basement lives with his mother. Not a surprise. But so I tend to do most of the grocery shopping as a favor for my mother in the first place because she has some mobility issues due to her feet. I won't get into details with that because it's a private matter, but the point is, I do most of the shopping, especially now, though, because my mom used to go to Sobeys occasionally just to, pick up bread, maybe dinner for the day kind of thing for herself. I don't know. Now, though, she just told me she's straight up uncomfortable going into the store for the same reason that I don't really like going into the store, and that's because loss prevention follows my mom around every time she's there. Just because she doesn't look like, rich or wealthy, she has, more beat up clothes because we shop at thrift stores and we don't have a lot of money. So, yeah, it's one thing to profile me, but profiling my mother to the point where she won't even go to the store? Come on, Sobeys. Like, it really shows to me that you guys have no respect for your customers at all. If they're not rich looking, they're garbage. My mom's garbage to Sobeys. I'm garbage to Sobeys. It just frustrates me to no end because not only can my mom not, she doesn't feel comfortable enough to go there. She goes to Giant Tiger instead. Hell yeah. Shout out to Giant Tiger. They don't discriminate at all, and they're actually very nice. Oh, so now, yeah, every time I go into the store, I feel super uncomfortable and anxious to the point where I just get. Sometimes I just leave the store feeling pissed off, and that's so stupid. Like, I shouldn't have to have that as something I deal with every time I shop. Because I'll tell you today, I'll give an example of what happened today and the motivation for my rant now, or for the subject now. So today I walked in, I was just getting one single energy drink because I wanted it to, be able to record. It gives me energy. Wanted to go just get a simple Monster energy drink. So I walk in and freaking there's the guy standing at the very front of the entrance, pretty much in your way, and then I go maybe 30 feet to the right, and then there's where the Monster energy drinks are. And I'm like looking at the different energy drinks. I'm thinking about it. I look back to see if he's staring at me. Sure enough, he's just. So oh my God, to the point where I took my sweet time. I did a test there. I stood there for 2 minutes just staring at the energy drinks, saying, I'm like, staring at the energy drinks to see how long it would take before he would stop looking at me. He never did. He just stared at me. No fucking manners. No sense of privacy, nothing. Not only, again, is this just rude, staring at people is rude, just staring at someone, making them feel uncomfortable. Not only is it rude, but it's terrible loss prevention. It makes it obvious which loss prevention people are. It makes it obvious who the loss prevention people are. But anyways, to continue on to the story, I stared at, and then I grabbed my energy drink, and then I went to the self-checkout immediately, which is something I do every other day practically, because it's just convenient to grab one energy drink from Sobeys and then use the self-checkout. It makes it take like 30 seconds if I'm not, testing out the loss prevention like I was. But, so I go into the self-checkout and scan my thing, and then I look back and the guy's like at the entrance to the self-checkout just staring at me still. I couldn't even have stolen anything. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? There could be 17,000 other people stealing stuff right now in the back of the store. And you would have no idea because you're following me, someone who shops here every day and doesn't steal. Like, they should know me by now. In fact, most of the employees know me by now. Which, side note, by the way, the non-loss prevention employees of Sobeys are great. Most of them are wonderful. Not hating on them at all. It's the loss prevention company that's the issue, and the executives at Sobeys. The actual employees at Sobeys are wonderful. Sorry to keep getting sidetracked, though. And then I paid for my thing, and guess what? He followed me out of the store and, like, stood in front of me for a second to check what I paid for to make sure I wasn't stealing. Like, I'm just a normal person, man, getting discriminated for being poor. So once he walked out, he blocked me, right? And I said, I said something like, "Why the fuck are you following me, bro?" Because it's the same guy I've seen 100 times too, so I know who he is. So I was like, "Why the fuck are you following me, bro?" And he's like, no, sorry, I wasn't." And then he just ran back into the store like he wasn't. Like, come on, man, really? Like, really? Really, Sobeys? This is what you're doing? Making your customers who aren't rich feel uncomfortable? That's your solution to loss prevention, to blame the poor people? Nice. Do you not realize, if you look at the statistics, that being poor, like, obviously, if you're poor and desperate, you're more likely to steal. But if you look at the statistics, people who are millionaires steal. Like there's called kleptomania. People steal for fun. I've heard comedians who are rich talk about how they still steal all the time. Like what the heck? I hate that they're discriminating against me, and they're just doing a bad, a bad job of loss prevention. Cause if you think about it, this is another thing I could do. Like, let's say I have a friend who dresses really fancy, but he wants to steal something. I don't want to give anyone ideas, but this is extremely obvious. I could just walk in looking poor as hell, and the way I look with this raggedy jersey that I've had for 15 years or whatever, come in looking poor as hell, and just have the loss prevention follow me, and then my friend can steal thousands of dollars worth of groceries, and they wouldn't even notice. Maybe until they check their cameras, but still, he could get away with it just because they choose to go after the poors. Of course, because only poor people steal, right? Don't look at all the companies, executives who are stealing or anything. Executives. Don't even look at all the rich people stealing. That's what I meant to say. In general, though, I'm just disappointed in Sobeys. I love shopping there because I hate shopping there because it's way too expensive, but I don't really have much of a choice. I don't have a car, and it's the only grocery store within walking distance that's reasonable. So yeah, I can't like I don't really have a much choice to shop. So I really don't have much of a choice but to shop at Sobeys, which in that is a problem in it of itself. Because I have to go there, yet I don't want to. I hate going there. If there was even any other grocery store in the world, I wouldn't go to Sobeys anymore. So the issue is I'm forced to go to Sobeys no matter what, despite the fact I'm being discriminated against. And seriously, Sobeys, please do something about this, man. I'm like, you're not actually preventing any loss if you follow poor people around. Like it's teenagers and kleptomaniacs that are stealing from the store. There's way more people stealing from the store than you realize, probably, Sobeys, and none of them are poor. They're just people who are doing it for fun, have mental issues, stuff like that. Or maybe they're rich and they just feel like having a chocolate bar. People do that. In general, though, Sobeys, improve this crap. Please stop discriminating. You made my mom literally not go anywhere, so I take this personally. Fuck you, Sobeys. Seriously, just fuck you. I don't like to swear as much as before with this podcast. I'm trying to reduce that, but you know what? Fuck you, Sobeys. I don't care. But we'll move on to something more interesting now, or more, sort of positive, but not. You'll see. You'll see. All right, so to discuss my experience at Mosport for the IMSA, I think it's called the Chevrolet Grand Prix. It's the IMSA race for Mosport Speedway. I'm not Mosport Motor Speedway. I'm not. It's Mosport for short. That's what we call it around here. Mosport being a track that is Mosport being a track that's east of Toronto in a small town called Bowmanville, just north of Bowmanville. It was actually built in the 1960s, 61 or 62, I can't remember, maybe even 1960, but it was the first purpose-built F1 track in Canada. It hosted the Formula One Grand Prix for a number of years before going off to the Gilles Villeneuve circuit in Montreal. So this track not only has a lot of history, but it's just a cool throwback experience. Now, so we were going to an IMSA race, and I bought the tickets. When I bought the tickets, I bought them online. I bought the tickets online, and so did my friend Garrett. And then my dad actually was just going to get a ticket at the track because they said that was an option. Now, the issue is on their website, they literally don't tell you where to go for will call or really where to go to buy tickets is extremely vague. So what happened is I already knew where the main entrance was myself because I had been there. So we programmed it to my friend Garrett's GPS, who was driving us there in his cool new Dodge Charger. We'll get more onto that later. He's in his cool new Dodge Charger driving us there. The directions actually took us up to the right of the track, and we're on like the right of it, essentially, the east end of it on a local road. And as we go halfway up the road, we get stuck in this gigantic line that seems to never move. So to us, we're like, is that really how long the line is for the main entrance? It goes all the way up and around. So we thought that's what the case was, and we're like, holy crap, are we just going to be stuck in line? So we just stayed in line for probably an hour. I'm not kidding. We were in line for an hour. We showed up 40 minutes early, in line for an hour. And after about an hour, we start to realize something's not right here. This doesn't make sense, right? Because people at the front of the line I've seen keep turning around and going back, which is weird. I'm like, why would you get to the end of the line and turn back? There's something going on here. And the race actually started going by now. It was about 30 minutes into the race by the time me and my dad decided to walk up and check out what was going on. When we walked up a bit, and what we discovered is a side entrance that we didn't even know about. No signs for it, nothing on the website, nothing, literally nothing. It was just a complete surprise for me and everyone else in line. Me and my dad just walk to that entrance where they're letting in cars, and we go up to them and they're like, yep, sorry, no, these are for people who paid for tickets only. And we're like, what? There's no signs for that literally anywhere. And then they're like, well, you should have thought of that before you came. You should come early. So guess what? The track workers blamed us. Classic customer service. Blame the customer for your problem that you created. Heck yeah. Good job, Mosport. So that guy was kind of condescending and a dick to begin with. So what it was is I'd say 70% of these people that were stuck in the line, including me and my friend Garrett and my dad, were in the wrong line. No one was telling anyone this either. It was a surprise to every person who got to the end of the line. You get to the end of the line and the guy's like, oh yeah, no, actually you have to go to the main entrance. There's no line there. What how are we supposed to know that? I'm turning into like a fucking beast or something. How are we supposed to know that? Like, my dad even said that. He's something like, how are we supposed to know that? Like, this is our first time experiencing this. It's my second time, but it's our second time experiencing this. We're not experienced at this track. We're not regulars, is what I'm trying to say. So we find that out, and we're like, what the heck? So essentially, there is a line up a 2-lane road, like going back and forth, that's preventing people from going to the main entrance. And it's full, like it's confusing. So there's 70% people, I think, that are actually trying to go through and go to the main entrance who are all confused, thinking that they're actually about to get into the race. Because after that guy explained to me that we're in the wrong line, I saw car after car, probably dozens of cars, get to the front of the line and get told they're in the wrong line. So just like me and my dad and my friend Garrett, we all miss half the race because of Mosport's incompetence. There's no sign saying which line you're lining up for. No one coming to tell everyone, that you're in the wrong line. Because my dad made a good point after we thought about it. My dad was like, all they had to do was send one of the volunteers up with like a sign or maybe yelling, you're in the wrong line. You're in the wrong line if you want to go here. You're in the other line if you want to go there. Because you know what? That happens in pretty much every single outdoor venue I've ever been to. Every outdoor venue I've ever been to, like concerts and stuff, there's people yelling like, if you're in VIP, if you're in the VIP line, go here. If you're in the other line, go there. Like, why can't Mosport do that? I know they're a little low budget, but come on, man. So what happened is now me and my dad actually had to walk about 40 minutes. I think it was about 2 kilometers in the blazing heat. It was 30 plus degrees that day. Heck yeah. Giving your customers no choice but to physically walk to the entrance. Cause unfortunately, my friend Garrett was still stuck in line because there literally was no way to get out of the line without turning around. The only way to get around the line now that he knew that he was in the wrong line was to get out of the line and go into oncoming traffic, which obviously he was not going to do with his brand new Charger. So not only was he stuck in line, so he had to just, wait it out, tough it out. He just didn't want to. He had already waited in line so long, he didn't want to leave the line just in case it got going or something. But the issue with that is, we'll get into that later, what happened to him. First of all, though, my dad and me both walked 40 minutes, 2 kilometers up to the main entrance, and there was no line. I'm not kidding. There was 0 people waiting in line for the race at the main entrance. So there's actually more people, probably dozens and dozens, probably 10 times more people waiting at the side entrance than there is at the main entrance. And they're not even going to fix it for some reason. So me and my dad get to the ticket booth. I get my will call. I explain to them that we've already missed half the race, which sucks. And it's pretty bad. And they essentially said it was our fault again, which is annoying. Like, they keep saying, well, you should have came earlier. Well, guess what? The first time I came to the race, I came the same amount of early and I got there before the race started. So it's not my issue, it's a logistical issue by Mosport. And the fact that their website literally says nothing on where you go for will call, doesn't say anything about which line you should be in, maybe avoid the side entrance, literally nothing. Absolutely nothing. You just go to the track and find out for yourself. What is this, the 1960s? So because I was frustrated and my dad was frustrated, he was going to have to pay full price. Like, he still had to get a ticket. He still had a ticket to buy. And so my dad actually convinced them to give him a free ticket, which was at least cool by them. That was pretty cool. So my dad ended up giving me half the money of my ticket. So essentially, we split the cost of one ticket between the two of us, which did work out. So props to the customer service workers there for giving my dad a free ticket. I kind of have to give my dad props though. He's extremely convincing at doing stuff like that. Really, it's him. Basically, no one else apart from like a politician would probably be able to get a free ticket there, but my dad has extreme skills with stuff like that. So props to him on that. That was great to see. He got a free ticket. That made me a lot more happy and calm me down because, as my dad knows, the entire time, the entire 40-minute walk up to the main entrance in the heat, I was just bitching and complaining, saying stuff like, you know what, fuck it, let's just go home, man. We already missed half the race. Let's just go home as like, to spite them or something. And then my dad's like, well, they already ruined your experience. Just go, man. So I listened to my dad's advice. And then once we got the free ticket, I was like, okay, we can go in. So while this was all happening, my friend Garrett ran out of fuel. He had like a quarter tank left before he went in line, and because he was idling the whole time and moving very slowly, he actually was just about to run out of fuel, and he had to leave the goddamn line after waiting an hour and a half to go get fuel. Wow, just wow. The fact that even has to happen is ridiculous because he shouldn't even have been in that line, but no one knew we were in the wrong line. So, I don't know. To me, Mosport owes my friend some gas money. Not actually, but it's just so frustrating. I don't want to get frustrated about this again. We can go ahead and talk about the positive experience because the frustrating part about this is once you get in the track, the freaking place is amazing. The experience is fantastic. There's so many cool things going on. The noises of the track are awesome. The all the displays they have set up and the different food booths and stuff where you can buy memorabilia, all that stuff is absolutely bloody awesome. The racing was great. The cars looked cool. The engine sounded great. Me and my dad started by watching in turn 1/2, which is the secondary sort of main grandstand there. Well, it's not really a grandstand, but it seems to be the second busiest spot on the track. So that spot's great for seeing some, minor battles coming from turn 1 going up the hill. So that was fun to see some cars zooming by for a while. And then me and my dad actually discovered something even cooler. So again, this kind of goes akin to the fact that they just don't have enough information on their website. I could never find, me and my dad looked for like a while on the website before the race to try and figure out how to get to the main grandstand because we can see it on TV, but we've never been able to figure out how to get there because guess what? There is literally no signs for it. Again, I don't know what's going on at this track, but they just expect everyone to, be an expert, which is like sort of a problem in racing in general. Like at racing events in general, I've noticed that they kind of go in expecting you to already be a racing fan. That's not the case for every track, but they are a little bit unwelcoming into new fans. But alas, I digress. Let's focus on the main part here. Me and my dad were walking. We were just looking for a different perspective on the race. And we just kept walking and walking. And then we started walking up these stairs. And then we could hear the track getting louder and louder. And then we started to realize, are we walking towards the main grandstand? This seems weird. So we just walk across this bridge that's enclosed. This bridge, you can tell it's going right over the track. Because you can hear the cars under you. And that's when I suddenly realized we're walking over that main bridge you see on the main straightaway to the grandstand. We are going to the main grandstand. It took me 1.5 races to figure out where it was. So it was like discovering Narnia, or like seeing the Lord of the Rings world for the first time. You like come out of this tunnel and the sun bursts out into this. The sun comes out, lights you up, and there's this lovely looking classic, just pure grass grandstand on an angle. Because back then, a lot of the grandstands were just grass. This grass grandstand is facing uh the main straightaway and the finish line, and is just straight up the best spot to watch the race, because you can see the leader or the winner cross the line. There's a TV there, so you can, watch what's going on in the part of the tracks you can't see. And the battles tend to be quite intense along the front straightaway. You it's just a great place that I recommend everybody watch the race. It's hard, like I said, it's hard to find, but once you do, it's wonderful. So me and my dad, for the last 30 minutes, had an absolute blast watching that. We were having so much fun, like just discussing the different races, like the different cars, and like that car is such a cool spoiler. Like we were having so much fun, and it's a shame that we only got to experience that for 30 minutes because we were stuck in line, and because we just didn't know where the main grandstand was because there's literally no signs. So at the end of the day, I did at least have a fun experience, which saved me from, demanding my money back or something. It saved me from having, like, uh, leaving a sour taste in my mouth, which is, well, partially true because I still am kind of pissed off about it. But what's worse too is, I mentioned my friend. The reason me and my dad were the two of us were just together is because it took another 30 minutes for my friend Garrett to get back from getting gas and then get into the race that he'd already paid for. So now he's gonna maybe get to see the last 30 minutes of the show. But no, unfortunately, he accidentally, in that absolute disaster of a parking lot that's absolute pandemonium. Unfortunately, my friend in his brand new car only got a couple of days ago, or maybe a week ago, just simply accidentally backed up into someone lightly. Not going to get into any personal details. It was fine. Everyone was fine. It worked out. No hard feelings. It wasn't a big deal. Uh, but the problem is now my friend didn't get to see any of the bloody race at all, because he's upset. Obviously, he's human. Now he's upset, calling his brother and stuff, and discussing what to do. So he just straight up missed the race. And you know what? He never would have backed up into someone if we were never stuck in line. That's the butterfly effect for you, eh? If that line wasn't there, my friend would have got to see the entire race, and he wouldn't have had to pay money for the damage he caused to someone else's car. Like, dude, it's like not only is the line making us miss the race, but it's actually causing problems by proxy. And seriously, Mosport, please fix this, please. I'm begging you, fix this. You gotta update your website, make it way more clear for young people like me who are a little stupid with directions, though I'm really good at directions, but on average, we're pretty dumb. Please, we really, really need it. We really need better instructions at the website, because in general, I would recommend going to Mosport to everybody that I know. It is a wonderful racetrack with an amazing atmosphere. It's so fun to go there. It just sucks that it's a little sullied by my experience of waiting in line. Please, though, Mosport, please fix it, man. Please fix it. You're going to make it way easier for people to, figure things out. And you're going to make it so more people come to your race. Because now when people ask me about more sport, I have to talk about, getting stuck in line. If you fix it, then I can just completely ignore it. Please just fix it, man. Because I love you, Mosport. I love you. I hate to say bad things about that track because it's a true passion of mine. I absolutely adore that track. So please, I'm a broken record right now, but please fix it. That just please fix it. Now on to the final subject of today's podcast, the final main subject, which is the Fanatics jerseys in the NHL, and how I actually am, kind of impressed, or I actually kind of like them so far. Now, For those who don't know, Fanatics in 2024, this year, 24-25 season, is taking over the exclusive jersey rights from Adidas. Now, for years, Adidas, I can't remember the exact year, but about 6 or 7, 8 years, Adidas had the jerseys. There was a lot of controversies with them. They had these weird dimples in the shoulders that people weren't a fan of, especially the players. They kind of made some of the jerseys look weird. Uh, I remember the Adidas jerseys also had issues with the sleeves tearing, like the actual hockey players had issues with that. That was an issue as well. So Adidas wasn't actually perfect despite the way a lot of people think it was. They did a really good job, a better job than Reebok in regards to the designs and how they look, but sort of a worse job than Reebok in regards to actual quality, weirdly enough for a company like Adidas. But now we're on to Fanatics. So Fanatics, I was always nervous about because they have quite the reputation. I mean, when they took over the baseball stuff, the jerseys were falling apart, just like Adidas. Plus, I just find their memorabilia like they have NASCAR memorabilia. I think it's ugly and just generic and not very interesting. Fanatics NHL memorabilia is kind of the same. They just take, they just take one design and make the design the same across every team and just change the colors. It's like template designs, which Reebok started, by the way, with the Reebok Edge jersey, but they're going into like the template design kind of thing with their memorabilia. So I was genuinely worried that Fanatics would do the same with the actual jerseys. Like, kind of like, you know, like maybe 10 of the jerseys all have one stripe at the bottom, one stripe or whatever here on the shoulders, and they're all identical. They just have different colors. I was genuinely afraid of that happening because, like I mentioned, Reebok actually did this. They did this, and it messed with a lot of the jerseys. They did eventually fix it, though. But I was afraid Fanatics would do that, but that's not the case. What Fanatics is actually doing is not altering the designs of any jerseys whatsoever. They're just taking over the manufacturing and process and the factory. The manufacturing process itself, uh, they're just taking it over. Because for those who don't know, despite the fact that the jerseys have switched suppliers over the last 20 years, the factory the jerseys have been made in have remained the same for about the last 20 to 30 years or so. So even when Reebok got taken over by Adidas, it's still the same people making it, which is great. That does make it so that the quality will remain the same or even get better, which is what Fanatics did, in my opinion. Because first off, right away, I don't know if I'm just imagining things or maybe they upped the contrast for hockey games, but I find the colors of the Fanatics jerseys quite a bit more solid. It's not as noticeable for every jersey, but like the Leafs, the blue is very blue. Some of the other teams, they're very red, which I like. It's nice and deep and it pops out because Adidas, they were a little bit dull, especially when they first came out. Kind of like Reebok when they first came out. So there's that. They're just more vibrant. I swear that's the case. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I find them to be more vibrant. Like I mentioned, Adidas had those weird dimples in the shoulders. Thank God Fanatics got rid of those ugly things because I don't know. I just found them ugly. They looked out of place, like sort of forced in to make the Adidas look unique or something. Like it, even the players didn't like them. Most people didn't like them. So I don't really understand why they had that. So thankfully they got rid of that. They actually reinforced the sleeves. The sleeves that were breaking, like I mentioned with Adidas, they fixed that. They double layered them. If I remember correctly, they actually double like layered them so that there's two layers here by the sleeves so that they don't rip anymore, which is great for the hockey players, obviously, but also great for the consumer because those adjustments come with the actual replica jerseys or the authentics. And so, actually, one thing that Adidas never had that Fanatics is bringing back is the real 100% authentic like jersey that's identical to the in-game jersey, the ones that they wear, because the ones that they sell online are mostly authentic, but they're missing certain things that that come with the jersey, like the fight strap and a few other minor details. So Fanatics has actually brought that back to life. They actually have that jersey again. That full on authentic jersey that comes with the the fight strap and all that jazz. They have that. The issue is it's way more expensive than it was with Reebok, which is not really a surprise, but it's something like $500 US. Insane. I would never pay that much for a jersey to be authentic unless I was a millionaire. So it's cool to see it back, but it also sucks that it's so expensive because, I mean, I'm just straight up never even gonna, buy it, unfortunately. But for those who want them, it's great to see it back. Obviously, there's a reason it's expensive. It's super high quality. And what was perfectly lined up with this new Fanatics jersey is there's about 3 teams I can remember off the top of my head that were getting brand new jersey designs that, Fanatics has to approve. Because from what I understand, the jersey design process, apart from some of the alternates, is the team designs the jersey itself, and then Fanatics has to approve it. And so there was a couple new jerseys that I was going in to be a little bit skeptical that maybe these New Jersey designs by Anaheim, LA, and Utah, maybe some cool ones were going to be rejected in favor of more of a generic, Fanatics brand type. But I was wrong. First of all, Anaheim went back to the old Anaheim Mighty Ducks logo. Disappointing for me, they did not go back to the old eggplant color. I know a lot of people, it's pretty divisive, that color. They went with the bright, disgusting orange that they use. I hate it personally. I get why people like it. It's exciting, but they went with that exciting, quite risky, very interesting looking, bright orange design with the old school logo. This shows that, yes, Fanatics was actually open-minded to something unique and new. They're not going to go for the generic stuff. Thank God. The LA, though, speaking of generic, the Utah jersey obviously looks generic as heck because they only had 3 months to design it. I'll show you guys in the corner here if I remember. It just looks like, something that the NHL video game would put out as a generic jersey. They're just called Utah Hockey Club, but that's not surprising. They're just having a placeholder design for now because they will be picking a name next year. So that one is whatever. It's not really much to think about. But the LA jersey, I'm extremely impressed with. It just looks really cool. They went back to the old 90s look, and the jerseys are absolutely stunning. I mean, just look at these things. They're so cool looking. The old logo I like a lot more because it doesn't just say LA. I've always been, I don't know, weirded out about the fact that the old logo just says LA. Like, it doesn't even say their name in it, really. It just says LA. Like, I know you're from. And the reason I know why they do that, too, the reason that they put the name LA is so that people who are tourists buy those jerseys, because it says LA on it. It's more of a tourist thing than a local thing. It's the same reason why Vancouver had the word mark on their jersey for years. It's to get people to buy it as a tourist item. They eventually took off that watermark, and it makes a huge difference. But anyways, I really like those LA jerseys, and this really shows you that the future is actually pretty bright with Fanatics. I know I thought I'd never say that, but the future is actually kind of bright with Fanatics. We are, there's a lot of room for improvement here. You can see how they improve the quality of the jerseys, and they're clearly not, stifling any creativity like Reebok did. Because from what I understand with Reebok, there was quite a few designs that people put forward, and then Reebok would just be like, nah, it doesn't go under our like templates jersey. And then you get stuff like that ugly Leafs jersey up here that I'll show you as well. The ugly practice jerseys. So we're not going to get stuff like that unless the actual teams design it themselves, thank God, because Fanatics has more room for creativity than Reebok did, and maybe even than Adidas did. I don't know. Point is, I am pretty impressed with these jerseys, and I'm looking forward to what we see in the future. There's a few new alternate jerseys that teams are looking to make. I'm curious to see if they'll do a series like the reverse retro with their own sort of design. Like Adidas had the reverse retro thing. I wonder if Fanatics will, do something different like the retro throwback or the future jersey. Like, something fun like that. Maybe they'll do that. I could see them doing it. Overall, though, I'm just super satisfied with those jerseys, and good job, Fanatics. The first time I've ever said that. Good job, seriously. All right, and like always, I want to leave out with my album of the week or album of the podcast, depending on how you want to look at it. But today, it's actually an album called Like a Paper Plane by a group called 2021. Now, I discovered this in the strangest way. I think the YouTuber is named Brad Taste in Music, so shout out to him for helping me discover this album because it's a real hidden gem. I was just watching his live stream one day. He does like live listenings of albums, and someone recommended this as something as like, a hidden gem, like I said. And he absolutely loved it, and so did I. It's weird. It's hard to describe. It's just pure ambient music, but there's something about it that creates a very wonderful atmosphere that is just super relaxing to play while you're working on stuff. Like playing this album while I'm editing videos or stuff like that. It really does just have it's just super soothing, non-offensive album. It only has 6 songs, all of them being 6 minutes plus for the most part, I believe. I think the last one's only like 5 minutes, but still, I just highly recommend it as something that is super relaxing. Just give it a shot. Seriously, I can't even really describe it too much without spoiling it in a way. Just a wonderful, simple album that should be way more popular, as its most played song is only 16,000 plays. Kind of blows my mind. So please, it's called Like a Paper Plane by the group 2021. Please give it a listen to support this interesting group, or maybe just a person. It's it Yeah. I have nothing else to really say about it other than it's an interesting ambient experience. Please give it a listen. All right, that's pretty much going to do it for me, guys, for today. Tune in 2 weeks or so. I'll have another episode out. And if anyone has any subjects they want to recommend to me, I'd be willing to try out talking about almost anything as long as it's appropriate and as long as it's interesting to me. So please make some recommendations in the comments. Other than that, y'all have a great day, and remember to like and subscribe if you like my YouTube channel and my podcasts. And this has been Snitch Race. This has been Snitch Racers Dungeon episode 6. You have a great day.